Mr. Speaker, in the days ahead, there'll be important questions to ask, difficult conversations to have. We owe that to the victims and their families.
We obviously all know what that means, right? More gun bans are coming. Do you think it's a coincidence that we still don't know what the make and models of those two firearms used in the Tumbler Ridge shooting are? Of course not. My name is Nico Lagan, and I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host, Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the political orphans. I played this video yesterday. It went completely viral on every single social media platform.
Yeah.
The video is only about a minute long, but it's Carney kind of explaining. He is basically saying what he's going to do without having to say it. But if you judge by what the liberals did in the past, 2020, the Nova Scotia shooting, they started banning guns. Like within 2 weeks of the shooting, they banned 1,500 firearms slash variant. And up to now, they've banned 2,500, just over 2,500. So that type of talking, you know exactly what that means. You know exactly what's coming. Like even as a liberal,
Yeah.
you know, right?
I can remember the Nova Scotia. I can remember. Well, I mean, I lived in New Brunswick. I'm from Nova Scotia, so that shooting was a big deal. But I wasn't super up on gun politics at that point, so I'm actually not aware. But yeah, is that what happened? Is they went on a big ban spree after that?
Literally within if I remember correctly, the event happened on the 19th. On the 1st of the next month, Trudeau, without going to debate, he did it through order. 1,500 guns slash variants were banned overnight. No debate, no nothing. He just did it. And up to now, we're at 2,500 firearms slash variants. And when I hear a guy like Mark Carney say that we owe it to the family of the victims, you know exactly what that means. And especially considering that his gun buyback wasn't working. You like literally gun owners weren't buying it. Regular people couldn't care less. Like it's not a problem to them that needs to be addressed right now compared to, let's say, trade with the US, let's say, our economy, let's say, our massive food inflations or problems that they see that needs to be addressed. Spending almost $1 billion on a gun buyback is not a priority. Provinces, police force are saying they won't enforce it. I don't like to say this, but politicians will never let a good, I don't want to say massacre, but a good opportunity unwasted, right? It's never like an event like what happened 2 days ago to push your agenda, especially when it comes to gun grabs. So, was that?
Yeah, never let a crisis go to waste.
Exactly. Never let a crisis go to waste. That is what politicians say, and that's definitely what they do. So the video is pretty clear, but today, I know we spoke about this yesterday, but I really want to it's very important what happened there, not only because it's something that doesn't happen in Canada very often, right? We're not the US. This is not something that's very common for us. You can literally count 5 since 1989. Like this is extremely, extremely rare. And I don't want what happened to Australia to happen here, as in they used the Port Arthur shooting in 1997 to literally ban all the guns out there. Like they literally went through, banned everything. And that's the same country that just passed a law that kids 15 years or younger can't be on social media. And since the Bondi Beach shooting, they now have police force tasks out there looking for people to arrest for hate speech. So they're literally turning into the UK. I don't want to be turned into this. So that's why I figured we talk about it today again to provide some updates, but I mean, I don't know if you've been following this. I don't know if you've been researching what's been
That's why
coming out from the shooter.
You have a shooting
right?
here.
Yeah.
A shooting by a bunch of foreigners, and instead of cracking down on who are the bringing into the country, they crack down on hate speech to make sure you're not offending the people who are doing the shooting. It's fucking wild, man.
I know, right? I don't know if you've been following what's going on today when it comes to the information that's coming out regarding the shooter, because as it goes, more and more information is going to come out as to his past. What type of individual are we talking about here? And that's another thing that I want to address. I saved one of those comments that was referring to Bill C4, because just so you know, I'm in talks right now with oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Remember the guest that we had last week to speak about
Yep.
trans activism? It's somebody that you follow, Mia Hughes. She is gonna come
Mia
back
Hughes,
on the
yeah.
show to do Mia Hughes to do a deep dive into Bill C4 and Bill C16. But I'm seeing already a few comments, and that's one from Wilf right there saying that Bill C4 allowed to manipulate parents. And Bill C4 is relevant in the conversation that we're having right now, considering that what the shooter was, right? He was a dude that considered himself a woman. So Bill C4 is exactly what we're talking about, and this is extremely relevant to the conversation. But before we do get into it, I saw a video. This video is from a few weeks ago, but it kind of puts in place the type of mindset that some of those individuals actually have. And then there's a video that's going viral right now. I believe it was released yesterday night, of the shooter showing very dangerous type of behavior before the shooting. I also found some Reddit posts that he made. Like I really dug deep today to kind of put it into perspective, but I wanted to ask you guys out there, the next video, it's a simple question. This is not a shooter. This is just somebody else, as you'll see in the video, that ended up doing something really, really wrong. But I just want to put that out there, that those videos are not uncommon. And Rob, I know this is what you talk about all the time, so you're going to be able to corroborate, to kind of confirm what I'm saying. But here is a video from a man that, you know what, just watch the video. Tell me if you think that's a sane person right there.
I think it's wild that people are like, we're gonna find you and we're gonna get you. I'm like, yo, I am a mentally unstable person who lives in a minivan, and I need a full psychiatric assessment. Like, I go around people when I have to. If I didn't have to, I wouldn't. Like, I think it would be, it's,
Dude is fucking mental.
So this is a dude by the name of Alicia Michael. He ended up stabbing both of his children. That's a video that he released after stabbing his kids. They survived. He is out.
Wow.
He's out
I have not heard
on
the case.
he's out awaiting trial, but I'm just trying to kind of put it into perspective, and you'll understand why that video is relevant, because it kind of predicts a pattern. This video has been associated with the 18-year-old man that killed 9 people and injured another 25 2 days ago in Tumbler's Ridge. Listen, check this out. This is insane. I'm going to stop it there because you get the point, but this goes on for about a minute and a half. He was practicing his evil laugh. So hopefully you understand the point I'm trying to make here is that there is a pattern, right? How
Sure,
is
sure,
this
there.
type of individual around firearms?
Absolutely.
Because this is the whole point I'm trying to make in today's show is we have a government that is accusing that is going to make it about guys like me. Like I'm the one that is the problem. I'm the one going around killing people, or people that are law-abiding citizens are the ones going around killing people. And yet you have indicators. If that's not a red flag, I don't know what a better red flag you could have. Do you want the guys you just saw on camera have firearms? Are those the type of individual you want to trust with firearms? I don't know for you, but I clearly don't. That type of behavior is like the biggest red flag. Hell no! You don't want people like that having guns.
No, absolutely not. I think as Wilf says here, it's the drugs that gives them. Yeah, I mean, we really, as a society, we need to have that conversation. It is giving mentally ill people massive doses of testosterone and estrogen. Is that causing some of them to become homicidal? Because it's not that crazy of an idea, right? In fact, it's pretty reasonable to assume that it is. And we need to start talking about if so-called gender affirming care, or if it should be gate kept a whole lot more. My take is I'm not particularly worried what consenting adults do to their bodies. My issue is, obviously under 18 at least, preferably 25, should just not be allowed because they have no idea really what they're consenting to. But yeah, if it turns out that there's some negative externalities, if there is some statistically significant portion of this group who's committing, horrific crimes because of the treatment that they're giving them, then we need to take a real hard look at that treatment and see if it's something that we want to be doing.
But it goes further than that because I was sent some information, some pictures of what has been identified to be his Reddit account and some of the posts that he made. It's not just the testosterone, or in this case, estrogen that he was probably taking, is all the antidepressant on top of that. And as you're going to see in the post he made, he was experimenting with hallucinogens. He was experimenting with DMT. He was experimenting with magic mushrooms. And I can tell you, I am somebody that has done ayahuasca in the jungle of Peru. This is something that I believe in. I believe in psychedelics used on somebody that is very trained when it comes to meditation, that understands what this is all about, because it is legal in Canada. You can find places that will serve you ayahuasca. And you know what is the first question they always ask you? Do you have a history of mental issues? Because if you do, they won't touch you with a 10-foot pole, because this will literally make somebody go psychotic. And as you'll see from the post, oh yes, this is the number one thing. If you are looking into doing, let's say, ayahuasca, because it is legal in Canada, if you find someone that is serving that medicine and the first question they ask you is not, how is your mental health history? Do you have a history of mental health? If that's not the first question they ask you, get out of there, because this can cause psychosis. Like, I did a bad trip when I was 14 years old on LSD. I took 3 tabs. I was literally in my mother's basement doing this for a few hours. Like, oh shit, is this going to end? Is this going to end? Is this going to end? And this going to end? Is this going to end? And you're talking to a guy that's experimented. Yeah, but I've done both, and I can tell you LSD is a stronger, the buzz is extremely different. I love magic mushrooms. It's one of my favorite. I like it. I actually enjoy it. But man, this is not meant to be played around. And
Mhm.
you'll see he's the type that was experimenting with this. So let's give a quick recap from what we knew yesterday, what we talked about. So the shooter was an 18-year-old that started, an 18-year-old man that started identifying as a woman 6 years ago. He murdered 9 people and injured 25. 2 of those people were his mother and his stepbrother. 2 guns were recovered at the scene, a long gun and a modified handgun. The police had a history of visiting his house. They've been there several times over the past few years in relations to his mental health issues. He also been apprehended for assessment under the Mental Health Act, and the RCMP had seized the guns under the criminal code, but eventually returned them. So I have more information about everything there. First, as an update, we need this is interesting. They normally never share this information because we're talking about underaged individuals here. But the RCMP released pictures of the victims earlier today, and I figure this is the least that we can do since I will never identify, I will never refer to the shooter by his name. The least we can do is to share them. Some on your screen you have, and I apologize if I'm destroying names here, but Adele Wamenza, 12-year-old, Ezekiel, 13-year-old, Kelly, 12-year-old, Zoe, 12-year-old, Tikaria, 12-year-old, Shnanda, 39-year-old, Emmett Scott, 11 years old, and Jennifer Jacobs, 39 years old. You can see their pictures here. So that is something that was released literally an hour or 2 ago, just prior to this show. So we definitely need, man, I can't imagine what their families are going through. I just can't. I just can't. I just can't imagine.
Heartbreaking.
I can't even imagine. And I'm trying to do these shows, and I'm hoping that this comes out as me trying to be not a dick. I'm not trying to be a dick when I say that guys like me are not the problem. I'm not trying to reduce the harm that those mass shootings actually cause on the family. That's not what my intent is. I just don't want the wrong people to be blamed for something that we did not do. That being said, the shooter's firearm license, so the 18-year-old man had a license at one point, but it expired 2 years ago in 2024. Now, I got some interesting information. So there's a bunch of people that's reached out to me on X and Instagram regarding some updates. So there is a bunch of pictures that came out. I'm going to bring them up right now. So here is the first picture that came out. This is supposedly the shooter with a long gun on him. And remember what they were saying yesterday, or even that's still the latest update that I could find, was that the 2 firearms that were used for the shootings were a long gun and a modified handgun. So here is what is believed, and I want to be clear here. This has not been confirmed by the RCMP whatsoever, but this is reported to be the shooter. So as you can see, this is an SKS. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with the gun, and the SKS is an unrestricted firearm. It's probably the most, at least one of the most, if not the most popular semi-automatic rifle in Canada. It's estimated that there's at least 200,000 to about 1 million of them in circulations. It's extremely, it's a gun that's really used by natives. So be careful if they're going, you've said that before. If they're going after that gun, they're going to create a NOCA 2.0. It's cheap,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
durable,
Yeah.
and man, it's Russian/Chinese. The original one was Russian, Chinese have been imitating them, but you used to be able to get an SKS for like $300, man. Like it's cheap, 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 cheap to have, durable as
Really?
shit. Like those.
What?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. 762 by 7. I don't have an SKS, but it's 762. It's a hold on 762 by 39, if I'm not mistaken. I just want to make sure I'm not saying something that is inaccurate here. Yeah, so it's 762 by 39 millimeters. Yeah, so that's the cartridge
Okay.
for the SKS. Um, so that's the first one. There's another one that, hold on, did it load? I believe that this is the one right here. How? I should have a better one. So as you can see, you have the SKS in the back, and then you have another gun. Do you see the black one right there? This, and I do not have, I cannot repeat myself enough when I say this, but I cannot confirm what I'm saying, that those are actually his firearms or the firearms that he used. But this is what's being thrown around out there. It hasn't been confirmed by the RCMP, but here you have a better picture. So you see the black gun. So you have the wooden one as the SKS rifle, and then you have the black gun there. So this gun is either two things. Because remember, they said there was a long gun and a modified handgun. So
Yeah.
that gun
What is
is either
that?
two. Well, it's either two things. It's either what we call a pistol to rifle conversion kit. Like you can literally buy a Glock and then they'll sell you the piece of plastic that wraps around, but the mechanism
Mhm.
is the pistol, but it turns
Mhm.
it into kind of a rifle, and
Like a
it has an
rifle. Yeah.
extended stop, an extended butt. I was looking at the picture, and what I believe that this is, I do not believe that it's a pistol to rifle kit. I believe it because look at it properly. Like the quality is not the best. Like I zoomed in to kind of take a really good look at it, but I do believe that it is a Chris Vector. I've always wanted one of those guns. Unfortunately, they are now prohibited in Canada, but let me bring it up to the screen. I believe that it is they call them a Chris Vector firearm. And
I've never heard of that.
probably
What is it?
I'll show it to you. Like I'll bring it up.
Okay.
It's a very very cool looking gun. Like at least in my opinion.
All right.
At
Let's see
this
it.
stage, there you go. So see
Oh,
here,
that's pretty
you can
cool.
see. So basically, and I believe that this is the gun because I was looking at the other one, and you see, you can tell that it's not a pistol that's added. Because normally when it is an extension, like it's a conversion kit, you can see that the pistol is inside the gun, but you recognize the pistol. But in this case, I believe that it was a Chris Vector, and the reason they probably think that it's a it's a handgun, one, because our government has no idea what our firearms are. Like I don't know if you remember the public safety minister trying to tell us what a PAL is. He couldn't even tell you what it was. Is because that firearm runs on magazines that are compatible. They're Glock magazines, so their caliber is 9 millimeter, 45 ACP, 10
Oh,
millimeter,
okay. Okay.
and 40 Smith and Wesson. So that, in my opinion, and again, I'm going to state this for like the 10th time now, this has not been confirmed to be his firearms. All I'm saying is that those pictures have been attributed to him, and the SKS would fall onto the long gun, semi-automatic, and that's probably why it hasn't been released yet, because of what the SKS represents to be to Canadian. Is it's like as much as it's not made in Canada, this is a fucking Canadian gun. Like Canadians love their SKS. And I believe that the modified handgun is the Chris Vector, at least judging from the pictures. If I had to put money on it, that's what it is. I don't know if you had anything to add to this. I'm just at this point, I'm just providing the information that I found today. Oh, there we go. So I guess Rob is having issues with his internet again. So I will continue. But yeah, cowboy with a rifle, with a camera. Sorry, cowboy with a rifle. Cowboy with a camera. I believe it as well. Like I've always wanted. I'm a fan of the Tavor, My first firearm I've ever bought was a Tavor. Love the platform. It's my favorite 223. I don't care about ARs. If you give me a choice between a Tavor and an AR, I take the Tavor a million times over. But I love the ball pup, and that's what it reminds me of. As much as the Chris Vector is not a ball pup, I do like the platform. It's absolutely a great, great, great platform. At least the reviews are great, but I've never owned one. I've never fired one even, but I've always wanted one. Um, Rob is saying that he's having internet problems again. So my apologies to you guys. Seems like you're stuck with me for the rest of the show. Um, but he promises to get it fixed by Sunday. So he's a liberal, so who knows if he's going to keep his he's going to keep his promise, but we'll carry on. So seems to me that the long guns in an SKS, that means trouble. If it is indeed an SKS and they're planning about going after SKSs, because it is a rumor that I've heard in the past that the liberals would want to ban the SKS because it is so damn popular and it is so cheap. Well, at least it used to be. It doubled, almost triple in price over the past 5 years. But it's a very, very common gun that everybody loves. The natives love to hunt with it. And I believe that the Chris Vector was the gun that we saw in the picture. So we'll see when they do identify the firearms if I was right or wrong, or if we were right or wrong. But here's where it gets very interesting, because it was reported yesterday that the RCMP actually said it in their when they answered questions yesterday. They said that the family had firearms. So somebody in that house, we still don't know if it was the stepmother or the father, or the mother or the stepfather that had his PAL, his legal gun owner license. We don't know yet, but it was confirmed by the RCMP that the guns had been seized and they had been given back at a certain time. We did not know yesterday, but it's been rumored now, but more than rumored, it's been reported by news outlet like the Globe and Mail is saying that there is an unnamed family member that confirmed that the firearms were seized a couple of years ago but had been returned about a month ago. This is what the Globe and Mail is indicating right now. I can show you just as proof here. I'll bring up the article. I'm not going to scroll through the whole thing. The article is pretty long, but in this article right here from the Globe and Mail, they have an unnamed family member that confirms that the firearms were taken away from the family 2 years ago, but they were brought back just about a month ago, which that is absolutely insane. It's also reported by the same person in the same article that I just showed you that the shooter had experienced recurrent difficulties with mental health and substance abuse, including a late 2023 episode where he set fire to a bed within the house where he resided, the same house that the police were called to multiple times. And to say that it's interesting would be to say the least, because this kind of corroborate the images that were sent to me by another follower on Instagram earlier. I'm just gonna bring up, let me load the image. I believe this is the one right here. Let's make sure. Yes, it is. I will bring it up on my screen as well. So this was sent to me by one of my followers during the day, like actually a little while ago. It's a post from, it's a Reddit post that's been, since then it's been confirmed by by many news outlet that this is indeed so. You dash Jesse Boy 340 or Jesse Boy 347 would have been his username on Reddit, but this corroborate what the unnamed family member was just saying, that he set fire to a bed in his house. Actually, the post dates from October 28th, 2023, and I quote, "I went crazy and burnt my house down my second time trying shrooms, but still have a desire to try alternatives." I'm I'm gonna keep this brief. It's 4 a.m. Got out of the psych ward just a month ago, and now I'm here. I'm not schizophrenic, unlikely to be bipolar, diagnosed with ADHD, MDD, ASD, and OCD. So we are talking about a young man. We're talking about a young man with massive, massive health issues, like psychological issues, mental issues. And he seems to confirm it in the post right there. And it's been confirmed. Like I said, when it was sent to me earlier, it hadn't been confirmed to him. It was not confirmed yet. So I was going to say allegedly that was him. But since then, it's been confirmed by major news outlet that this is indeed his account, and those are his word. And I apologize, I am changing my headphones for some reason. They never ended up charging, so I'm just going to put my other pair right here. Here we go. So yeah, like I was saying, so this is a post that was shared by the shooter in October 28th, 2023, and he seems to confirm that he was diagnosed with ADHD, MDD, ASD, and OCD, and he was experimenting with mushrooms, which this is, I can't even tell you, as somebody that has experimented with magic mushrooms, you need to be in very good control of your mental capacity in order to handle this type of, we like to call it medicine because it is supposed to serve a purpose. This is not a party drug. This is not supposed to be used to have fun. This is supposed to be used to do inner searching. But it seems that he was experimenting with some dangerous substances, to say the least, considering the amount of mental health issues he was facing. So we have an unnamed family member that confirmed that he set fire to his bed, or to a bed, my apologies, to a bed, that the guns had been seized 2 years ago and they were returned a month ago. That's a month before he murdered 9 people and injured 25. It's this story is very, 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 I don't want to say interesting. It's such a boring word, but I just don't know what else to say. It exposes the pattern that a lot of us have already identified when it comes to mass shooters, because this has been going on in the US, and the same pattern seems to be coming back. I don't want to say every time, but very often. And if you were there at the beginning of the video, at the beginning of the show, my apologies, the video I showed of him just sitting down, recording himself, laughing, practicing his crazy Joker laugh. This is not somebody that was doing very well. This is somebody that had problems that needed to be addressed. And this is the question that I have for our police forces out there, the local police and the RCMP. How how in hell did they ever give back guns to that family, considering that his mental health issues were known to the police? They had been to his house multiple times in the past few years. They had brought him in under the Mental Health Act, yet he was around firearms. It blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind because this seems that it was preventable. This seems like we could have done something about it. The red flags were everywhere. Yet, here we are. It just blows my mind. It blows my mind that we don't seem to learn. I don't want to go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole, because there's a lot more that could be said. We don't need to go down that path to just realize that there is a massive problem going on here. This is definitely not normal. That a person like that was around firearms. This is not normal. This should have never happened. And somebody, an organization, a police force needs to be held accountable for this, because this is not the fault of legal gun owners. We are 2.5 million, just under 2.5 million gun owners in Canada. These mass shootings are very rare. If we were the problem, don't you think that there would be shootings literally every day? We're 2.5 million, just under 2.5 million legal gun owners. If we were the problem, you would know. I just want the average Canadian out there to realize that we are not to blame for this. In the same way, I was doing some research earlier, and it turns out that in Canada, you're 7 to 8 times more likely to be killed. In Canada, you're 7 to 8 times more likely to be killed in a car accident than murdered by someone with a firearm. 7 to 8 times. Yet, do we ban cars? We don't. We don't. In any other crime, we blame the person. Whatever happens, whatever object they use. I've never heard, at least in Canada, that a knife was responsible for somebody's death. I never heard a car was responsible for murdering somebody. Yet every time there's a murder with a firearm, it's always the firearm's fault. It's always legal gun owners that get accused, that gets blamed for this. Yet we are not the ones committing the crime. And as I said yesterday, I've never seen, I don't know for you, man, but I've never seen a gun grow little gun legs and start shooting people. Never. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. A gun is just a tool. And I'm tired. I'm really, really tired of getting blamed for something that we don't do. Yet at the same time, I don't want to be disrespectful to the families that lost family members to this tragic event that took place in Tumbler Ridge. It's such a hard line to walk, because I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to belittle them whatsoever. This is not my intention. But at the same time, legal gun owners are not responsible for those mass shootings. They're not responsible for what's going on. We just need to be able to address it for what it is. We are faced with a mental health crisis in Canada. It's MAID. Tell me MAID is not a great example. We are going to allow, I believe it's this year or 2027, I believe is this year, we are going to allow people with psychological problems to MAID themselves instead of addressing what the problem is. Like, what is happening here? Like, when are we going to address the antidepressant crisis that we're seeing all over the West? These are not gun problems. We have a serious mental health issue going on in the West, and nobody wants to address it. Instead of addressing them, we are reinforcing it by telling them that it's okay, that there's nothing wrong with them. Yet, are you going to go get diet advice from somebody that's bulimic or somebody that's anorexic? Obviously not. So, what's the problem here? What is the problem? Why can we not address the real issue that is mental health? It's everywhere now. Everywhere you look, it seems that this is what the problem is, yet we won't address it. And to kind of prove my point here, this article was sent to me by a follower. This is a story I did not hear about. I don't know for you guys, if you've heard about this story, let me know, but I was not aware of this until this morning, and it's in my city. It's in Montreal. Here is the article. So an article from Montreal Gazette that was published on January 22nd, 2026, and it reads, Montreal man who killed his parents' grandmother declared not criminally responsible. A young man who killed his parents and his grandmother inside the family's home in Rosemont nearly 3 years ago was declared not criminally responsible for the death in a decision delivered in the Montreal courthouse Thursday, which is today. Quebec Superior Court Justice Annie Aymon went over a long summary of 22 years old Arthur Galarno's mental health history and how his family tried to help him before delivering her decision. On March 17, 2023, the young man stabbed the victims, Mylène Gingras, 53, Richard Galarno, 53, and Francine Gingras-Boucher, 75, inside the family's duplex. And the reason that my follower sent me this, I think is pretty clear now that I read the last sentence. The young man stabbed 3 victims, or the young man stabbed the victims, which there were 3 victims. That kind of proves another pattern that we're seeing here is when there's a gun involved, it goes everywhere on mainstream media. Everybody talks about it. The government talks about it. All the politicians talk about it. The world seems to be talking about it. But because those people were stabbed, we don't care as much. It's not as big of a problem. Is it that it's not a problem, or is it that really going after the guns? They're targeting the guns because this does not serve their purpose, just like why those guns have not been identified yet, the long gun and the modified handgun, is because it does the two guns that were there probably don't fit their assault style rifles. So they can't go after the big dangerous black guns, the AR-15s of this world. So they're trying to figure out how they can push this to their advantage. But why was that story not everywhere on mainstream media? Because you're talking about somebody that killed 3 people. Yet I never heard of the story, and I'm right here in Montreal. This kind of proves my point that it's never, they don't want to address the real issue. What is the common denominator between the shooter of Tumbler Ridge and the stabbing that took place in Montreal 3 years ago? Mental health issues. And this is common. It takes somebody with massive psychological issues to murder people, family members. Like we're talking, that's another common denominator that these 2 murderers have in common. They killed their own family. It's absolutely nuts. It's absolutely crazy, but here we are in a world where we don't want to address the root the root of the problem. And I'm not surprised. Let's be honest here. I'm really not surprised that our government doesn't want to address it, because the truth in the matter is our liberal government wants a population that's disarmed. They want a population that is censored. There's a good reason why the First and Second Amendment are free speech and gun rights in the US, because free speech is the most important right we have as human beings. And if the government tries to take it away, you have the firepower to get it back. This is what the First and Second Amendment are all about. So there's a good reason why any Marxist government, any communist government like Marx Carney wants to go after the guns, and they want to go after speech. It's not a coincidence that they're trying to pass C2, C8. They're trying to pass Bill C2, C8, C9, C12, C16, and soon a new Bill C63 at the same time as they're going after our guns. If you don't have free speech, you want to be able to defend it, to get it back. How do you prevent that? Take the guns away. And another thing that always happens that is kind of very fitting in this story, another thing that Marxist governments always do, communist governments always do, they take away God. They remove God from the equation and they replace God by themselves, by the government. Then they remove the men from the family. So boys are not raised by men. And can you really say that men of today are masculine? The younger generations have been raised by women. I don't know if I'm sure you guys have seen Fight Club, the movie with Brad Pitt. He even said that at the end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s. We're a generation of men that were raised by women. Is a woman really the answer we need? As in, should I really get married? That was the context of the conversation. But the point of the matter is that we have a government that is disconnecting us from God, that has encouraged men, that has encouraged women, that has convinced women, that have been indoctrinating women, telling them that they don't need men. So men are no longer part of the family unit. Boys are being raised by women. If you look at the statistics, you're looking at 50% of marriages end up in divorce, and in 90% of the cases, women, the mother, gets the children. So you have a massive amount of boys that are raised in a house where their father is not present. So can you really be surprised that you have so many boys that are confused, that believe that they're girls? You can't. Men serve a purpose. Women have a purpose. Mothers have a purpose. Fathers have a purpose. It is two different purposes, but men are needed, especially when it comes to young boys. Not that young women don't need it, because, the expression, she has daddy issues, is very accurate. A father that's not present is as bad for women as it is for boys. It's as bad for girls as it is for boys. But my point is that in this case, we have men. Often I started creating content a few years ago back on masculinity, and this is something I still get approached for podcasts and shows to speak about it, but masculinity is not toxic. The lack of masculinity is toxic, and that's what we're seeing today. This is exactly what we're facing today. So, guys, it's very, again, it's very hard for me. I'm trying my best to be extremely respectful about this, because I want to pay respect to the families. I don't want to disrespect the victims. But we are not the problem. Men are not the problem. Firearm owners are not the problem. Legal firearm owners are not the problem. We have a massive mental health issue that needs to be addressed. And this is a fact. We need to address the problem that we're facing. And we need to stop blaming the people that are not responsible, although that's what the government wants. As people, we have the power to make it stop if we want to. We can say, no, this is not the problem that we're facing. This is our responsibility, and that's what we should be doing as Canadians. I think I'm done. I think I'm done when it comes to my rant here. It's always a good rant day when Rob is not around. I want to take a few other comments here because we have some we have great commenters. So we have Wilf that or not Wilf, sorry. Ed Strafford. Thank you, sir, for the tip. Randy Hiller cites another example of nonsense in this video today involving a bat. I have not seen this video, but I have been speaking to him. I have spoken to him. We follow each other on Instagram. I should reach out to him and have him on the show. But thank you for the tip, kind sir. Thank you. And then, oh, Ed again. Ed is he feels he's in a good mood today. We appreciate that. We need to demand repeal C4 in large numbers. Get loud, be creative. You know what? One of the things that is even more problematic when it comes to Bill C4 is that the Conservatives voted in favor of it. This is a part that they conservatives out there don't want to talk about, they don't want to address, but the point of the matter is that they did. And this needs to be repealed or heavily changed. But I also believe that, like a lot of bills that we're seeing in governments, they say that they're going to do something because the original intent of Bill C4 was to prevent I don't want to say gay camps, but preventing trying to change a gay man to a straight man. That was supposedly the intent behind C4, but the trans agenda got slipped into there as well, and that needs to be addressed. So thank you for bringing up, well, thank you for the tips, obviously, and thank you for bringing that up because Mia Hughes, which is probably a foremost expert on the trans agenda, she wrote the WPATH files. We had her on the show a couple of weeks ago. I believe it was last week or the week before. She was great to have on, and I have invited her to come back on the show so that we could do a deep dive into Bill C4 as well as Bill C16. This is about the only two bills we haven't done a deep dive into because it needs to be addressed. So Bill C4 is what we're just talking about, but Bill C16 is a new bill that the Liberal government is trying to pass as we speak. It's been tabled now. I have to check which stage it's at right now, but it's a bill that will use Bill C9, which is the bill that defines what hate speech is, in order to prevent hate speech against minorities, against religious individuals, against trans individuals. So they're trying to push that hate speech against the LGBTQ group through Bill C16. So I'm hoping that next week, at least that's what Mia said, we can do a deep dive into Bill C4 and Bill C16. So we can understand, because I believe this is one of the biggest problem is the average Canadian is not aware of those bills. There's not a lot of people out there that are like me that will sit down and read a 50, 60, 100. I've read 140-page bills, and that's a problem. But that's why I'm here. That's why I do it, is so that we can bring the information to the regular Canadians out there that don't have time to read those bills or that just don't want to. And I fully understand, believe me. But we're going to do a deep dive with Mia Hughes next week. Bill C4, Bill C16. I'll let you guys know when. We're reaching 8 o'clock and we're going to keep it on par today. We're going to keep it on time. It's the last show of the week. Well, it's the last show of the week, as in we're off Friday, Saturday. We're coming back on Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. But before we do, I want to thank every single one of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking the videos. Thank you for letting us know how you feel, because at the end of the day, we wouldn't do it if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you for being here. If it's your first time here, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure to join us Sunday to Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Join the conversation. My email address is info@nicolagan.com. Send me stories. Send me some guests that you think we should have on the show. Like three of the development today were sent to me by followers. So I absolutely will take the information that I'm provided. I will research it, and if it deems to be accurate, I will share it. You guys are making my job easier by participating, and you have no idea how much I love hearing from you guys. So if you want to encourage independent media, because we're not backed by any political party, we're definitely not backed by the government, you can choose to support us by buying us a coffee. We do have a QR code at the top left of your screen. If it's easier for you to buy a subscription off of the YouTube channel, $2.99 a month, you can do it through the YouTube. But at the end of the day, even you can tip us. You can be like Ed and tip us. Instead, during the show, we will absolutely take it. But at the end of the day, what matters most is that you keep coming back, because we want to hear from you. We want to know how you feel about what's going on. Who are the guests you'd like to have on the show? And what do you think the solutions are? On that note, I will wish you a great night. I will thank you once again for joining us, and we will see you Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here. Enjoy the rest of your night, and do have a great weekend. Peace.